when there are physical challenges, remember that when a problem is coming into focus, a solution is too. So that literally means that sickness brings wellness. But sickness, that you continue to look at sickness, brings more wellness goes into the vortex. But you look at the sickness, so it gets more sickness, more wellness goes into the vortex. But you're looking at the sickness, so you get more sickness. So we haven't said this with this clarity before, but you set it up for the perfect way of explaining it, that a lot of people are saying, they often don't mean it really fully, that they're not sorry that such and such happened because of the good that came from it. And we just want to emphatically say that good always comes from it, but the question isn't whether good comes from it. The question is, how quickly am I going to start tuning myself to the frequency of the good that came out of it, instead of staying focused on more of the current reality. We know that we're annoying the way we keep cutting you off, but the difficulty is simpler than you know. You keep talking about it. You keep talking about the problem that we just said to you, and don't be upset about this, because Jerry and Esther aren't getting it yet over the breakfast either. And we know that the reality is compelling, and it seems like that's where the tests are, that's where the doctors are, that's where your physical reality is. We get it, but you have to play that down, play that down, play that down. So if we, who know very well what you've put into your vortex, if we allow you, if we encourage you at all to continue the conversation the way it's going, we don't serve you at all. We have to say to you, stop talking about that. Stop talking about that and talk about this. You see. Now's a good time to start. It's not as interesting yet, and you're not as practiced, and there's a lot more details and a lot more trauma around all of that, but really, well, every subject is two subjects. So it's a matter of gradually, through practicing the end of it that feels better. And do you believe us at all? Do you believe that when you're experiencing sickness, that you're asking for wellness and that the wellness is queued up? Yes. So what's hard to talk about that? In other words, we don't get why it's hard. When you could as easily talk about wellness as sickness, why not talk about wellness? You did a little bit. You said, I can accept that some good has come out of it, but do you really believe it? Do you really do you believe it? Do you believe here's a good way of putting it. Do you ever hear someone say, "Oh, I've been well for so long and there are a lot of sick people, so I think I'm going to be sick for a while to allow sick people to be weller"? You don't ever say that, do you? Because you don't think that there's this pile of wellness that you've been pigging out on and depriving others. And so that's one way of looking at this. And we want to convince you that, do you believe that you are a vibrational being? And do you believe that as a vibrational being that you can focus on wanted or unwanted? Yes. So what is this insatiable appetite, and it's not just yours, almost all humans have it, of wanting to explain what is? What is the big deal about what is? What's the big deal about what is? Is it, you know what it really is? I'm running around with a whole lot of other humans who've forgotten who they are, that don't remember about the vortex, who have trained themselves away from caring about how they feel, and we are, for the most part, just a big human complaining pity party. Those are the books that sell. You want to get a best-selling book, then dig yourself into a really deep hole and then crawl out, and they'll clap when you crawl out. We're just trying to get your attention a little bit here. We want to convince you that you don't have to tell the story about reality. You can tell the story about vibrational reality. But when you say it's hard, I can't do it, I don't know how to do it, that only means that's because you've practiced the reality story more than the vibrational reality story. Do you know anybody? Have you ever, and we won't tell, have you ever told a fib for so long that you forgot it was a fib? Do you know people who lie really easily? That's what we want from you. We want you to take a departure from reality and train yourself into the improved reality, into the wanted reality. We want you to train yourself. But so many of you have believed that you've got to tell it like it is. And so someone says, how are you? And you don't feel that good. And you feel like you should tell them, well, I really don't feel that good. And they didn't really care. They didn't really mean, how are you? They meant, hi. So just practice as best you can. And so the answer to your question is, how can you practice the better feeling when the reality isn't there yet? And we say, catch yourself at the best moments that you can find and emphasize that to yourself. And do it over and over again. Just find the best feeling moment that you can find and practice it from then. And it is our promise to you. It will get better and better and better and better and better. Well, it isn't a matter of something outside of you assigning what you're supposed to be doing. When you find yourself in a sort of trend where you're really feeling blissful, what that means every single time is that all this stuff that you've been throwing into your vortex, you're in the vortex or on the verge of it, and so you're feeling the inspiration. But the vortex keeps expanding and evolving too, so you have to keep it current. That's why we want you to make it this emotional quest rather than a manifestational quest, because if you make it an emotional quest, if you care about how you feel, then you just keep feeling good as new ideas keep coming. But we will say this, you bring up a really good point, and you're really going to like this. This is an important piece to all of this, and we think it's the piece that you're looking for here. So this vortex, are you believing it? This vibrational reality. So if you are in despair or focused upon pain or sickness, you're far from the vortex, and inspiration is not something that's coming to you. The best you can do is motivate yourself by making yourself do stuff, but you're not being swept into the vortex, not regularly. If you're hanging around in an attitude of hopefulness, then you're on the brink of the vortex enough that it's taking you in and making a believer out of you. If you can hang around in hope, the vortex will take you in often enough that you will become a believer. And before you know it, you will just know. There will be no vibrational difference in what you want and what you expect. Expect is a really important word. So if you're hanging around in hopefulness, and the vortex takes you in, you're going to have an impulse. That's that feeling of inspiration. You know how when you'll think, oh, I want to call so-and-so. That's inspiration. And here's the thing, and your words really triggered this very specific answer. When you feel that, that's the time to make the call. When you have that feeling, act on it in that moment. If you act on your inspiration, when it comes, what'll happen is, that's how you become a believer, because if you get that feeling of that impulse to do it and you follow through on it and it pays off for you, before you know it, you start to understand the power of your inspiration. Esther laughs because her inspiration, they drive so much, and Esther is usually driving, and so her inspiration comes while she's driving, and it's just not the same to record it into the recorder and then later when they get to the hotel room transcribe it from the recorder and then enter it into her computerized enormous things to do someday list. In other words, that's not the way to respond to inspiration, because the window opens and closes and opens and closes and opens and closes, and when you respond in the moment of the impulse, you're going to get big results. If you can keep yourself loose enough. And so the way we would play that is we would take advantage of the moments that we have in terms of action. We would say to ourselves, I'm going to stay on top of my need to do's. I'm going to stay so on top of my need to do's. I need to go to work. I need to feed my kids. I need to whatever. I'm going to stay on top of my needs to do, and I'll just use my willpower for that for a while. It's been working out pretty good anyway. I've been using my willpower for that. I'll motivate myself on my need to do's so that I have some open space for my inspired to do's. And what happens is that the more organized you are on your need to do's, then the more hopeful you'll be and be on the brink where you'll be inspired. And then when you follow through with those inspirations, before long, it will shift. The fulcrum will tip for you, because you'll begin to feel the enormous, we cannot even find a word big enough or emphatic enough. You will find the enormous power of the leverage of the vortex. He teased Esther a few years ago. She was making airplane reservations, and she kept saying, I know, it's on my list, I'll get to it. And he kept saying, did you make the reservations? She would make several at a time. No, I'll do it. Did you make the reservations? No. Then he tried to motivate her. You know, the longer you wait, the fewer seats there are. The longer you wait, the more we pay for the tickets. I know, I'll do it. But she just could not make herself do it. She just couldn't make herself do it. Then all of us forgot about it. Jerry quit harping about it for a minute, and Esther found herself in the vortex relative to some other thing and felt the impulse, the inspiration to make the airline reservations. She went to the telephone, got the one-pass line, a very helpful person, and the person said to her over and over and over again, they were using miles to upgrade to first class and miles to upgrade to first class. The woman would say, I swear, 2 minutes ago, these seats weren't here. I swear, 2 minutes ago, these seats were not there. I swear, 2 minutes ago, these seats were not there. Esther booked 10 flights and got upgraded to first. And when they flew those flights, every flight flew. There were no delays. There was no lost luggage. There were no canceled flights. There was no extra waiting at the connection. In other words, they were inspired flights. So when you get that feeling, act on it. And until you get that feeling, just do what you have to do. So we're making a case, aren't we, for understanding the vortex and what would you say our message is to you today? It's simple. Get in the vortex somehow, some way. Now, what are we saying even more emphatically? You're in the vortex every single day, no exceptions. You're in there. You're in there. You might not be aware that you're in there, but we want you to start paying attention. We want you to notice that extra lift that you feel. We want you to notice that good feeling that you have. We want you to be aware that you're in the vortex, and then we want you to milk it with everything you've got, to practice the feeling, to practice the vibration, to make it a chronic patterned vibration within you, so that you're hanging around on the verge of or in the vortex so much more of the time. And as you begin to do that, you're going to discover what the true real-time life is, because the universe is now queuing you up with others who are in the vortex. So you're meeting up with those who are ready for you. They're on your wavelength. They are already, law of attraction has sorted them out as a vibrational match to who you are and what you want. Life doesn't just become easier. It becomes blissful, because you feel the power of who you are. And you know, that's what bothers you more than all other things put together about things not turning out right. You know you are a powerful creator, and when you are not exercising your power, something is really, 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 really off, you see. And then that's what really makes you mad. That's what most of your negative emotion is about. It's that you're not keeping up with who you are. That's the only thing that negative emotion is. Negative emotion is one thing and one thing only. It's your indicator that you're not, in the moment of the negative emotion, keeping up with who you are. And the larger part of you is calling you, making it easy. Now what? We have enjoyed this interaction more than words can convey. You are really good at what you do. You are really good at what you do. Just have more fun in the doing of it. Don't make big changes in what's going on in your life experience. Just decide to tweak it just a little bit into more fun. And watch the leverage of the energy that creates worlds flow to your fingertips, you see. It's really your time, friends. You know what to do, so be playful in doing it. There is great love here for you. And as always, we remain in the vortex.